Do not make fun of that.
Because what's wrong with them having fun? This is what they're good at. They like it.
Yeah. And then eventually they sit on a couch for months and months. And then we all have to pick up the tab on Obamacare because they never left their house for 17 years.
For Colin, for you to make that comment makes me think, because I do like have a history in actually playing sports, but I know a lot of people who tried to become professional football players, professional basketball players, and they were left in the wake of their own aspirations. And I think you can do that in any field, in any industry. So I think that comment that you made is a little myopic. And what it's being short-sighted of isn't the fact that people can be left in the wake of their own aspirations and have failed dreams and just end up, staying mooching at mom's and dad's couch, doing nothing and heating up hot pockets, like you say in your video. It's the fact that you're completely neglecting that esports is an industry in its own right. It's being forecasted as the next billion-dollar industry that has viewerships in the multi-millions, concurrent viewerships in the multi-millions. I'm sure, Colin Cowherd, you know just as well as anybody that viewership can be turned into revenue. It's not a great leap for you. I'm not going to go ahead and belabor that point for you. Beyond that, you have events that are going on around the year for each specific game, and millions of people are watching. A lot of reports were made about the Women's World Cup, about how there were 25 million. That was the most watched soccer match in U.S. history. It was the Women's World Cup. 25 million people watched it. Over 20 million people watched the International for Dota 2. Okay, that's not quite the Women's World Cup, but the fact that it even rivals it should give you some scope here. Allow me to give you some insight. If you look at concurrent viewers for Wimbledon, it was around 4 to 7 million. For the CS:GO major that just passed Cologne, it was 1 to 2 million. So I mean that's not the same, but it's a very small fraction. It's like half to a fourth of it. And to think, it's fucking Wimbledon, man. Like that's not bad at all. So there's an industry based not just on the viewership, but also based on sponsorship, based on how these competitive avenues not just entertain people, but that they kind of produce these companies, esports companies, and also companies that make peripherals and make computer parts. They get sponsorships and they sponsor teams, and their teams go ahead and advertise, their gaming mice or their gaming keyboards or their headsets, or the computers that they use, the graphics cards, every single component. So there is an industry to it, and therefore I think you're completely just overshadowing the fact that this is actually a legitimate enterprise that makes money, that makes it so that people earn revenue from it, taxable income. So it's not leeching off society. There's no socialist overtones here of anything. In fact, this contributes to society. We're talking about taxable income, where people would be making income, and it's a new industry. It's an innovative industry. If anything, you being the person that you are, you should be welcoming this with open arms as something that could spur growth in the economy. But then you also make your second point, which was, I believe...
Well, it's the same with professional wrestling. It's for booger eaters.
No, it's not this one.
I don't have a... This is just... It's video games. It shouldn't be on a sports network. It's video games. It is, by the way, it's not scripted, but to a large degree, there's limitations on what you can do based on the programming, right?
Oh,
There are limitations based on what you can do in sports, based on the rule book, based on what field you're on, or if you're not even on a field, if you're on a court, based on 100 yards, the dimensions of the field and the posts and the dimensions of how the game is created. That's the programming. It's the same fucking thing. Sorry, your argument's invalid, buddy. Take a breather. Ice up, son.